I'm going to start with Mark, since we were just talking about Scientology. Mark's call is related to it. Mark from Pennsylvania, what's going on?
Hi, Mark.
Hello, how are you tonight?
Doing awesome. Life's cool.
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, life is awesome. I'm fine. I just feel that, like, as we discuss Scientology, you know, of all the faiths, and I use that word sparingly, this seems to be the one that, as far as like not paying taxes, it's absolutely ridiculous. I could talk about the Church of Latter-day Saints because that's only 150 years ago. I am willing to concede that with 2,000 years under their belt, Christianity, Judaism, to the same extent, Islam, they've got thousands of years, and you're not going to move that quickly. But Scientology is a series of books, and I love science fiction, don't get me wrong, but you find out how much money they're taking in a time when the country is in the place where it is right now, where we can use every dollar we can for, everyday people, and Scientology gets away with it. And I wonder why, the atheist community can't, find someone who's like, we need to sue these people. We need to take them into court. Because talking about, people from another planet and all that stuff that Scientology is much different from, the scriptures. Which
I mean, honestly, though, in some ways, it's kind of not like if you look at Christianity and Judaism, they talk about monsters, like the Nephilim, and angels are from another realm, kind of. That's kind of like being an alien. I mean, and if you take their conception of cosmology, I think it's probable that the Jewish people literally thought that some of these people were basically coming from the sky. I don't think they came from another dimension like we kind of think of as today. But I get your point though, Mark. And it is frustrating to see, especially an organization as negligent and criminal as Scientology, not kind of pay their fair share is.
Once you have a couple, not to cut in, but after a few thousand years, it's you can't push against us. There's tradition, there's culture, there's family. But when you're talking about Scientology, you're talking about something that was a made-up group of stories.
Yeah.
Almost in our lifetime. I'm not that old, but you know what I mean?
I get you.
Happen.
There's lots of people that have tried to take legal action against Scientology. It's not a brand new conversation for sure, but as long as they're counted as a religion, they can get away with all the privileges that comes with. And Scientologists do stuff that mega churches do that we don't even think about. If you go to a mega church, a lot of them have stores in their churches that you notice, well, you don't have to pay taxes on because they ask for donations for the stuff that they get in the store. Or if it's a really big pastor that they're trying to, if it's a really big pastor that they're trying to push, for example, with what is it? Hillsong and some of these other folks, if one of them releases a book, what they'll do is they will take some of that church funds and buy 10,000 copies of that book so that they can put it on the New York Times bestseller list and stuff. And then they give those books away to their congregation so that they can write it off on their taxes. It's the most craziest stuff that normal human beings would just never think of, but people who have these motives in mind would do. So yeah, it is frustrating, Mark. I totally hear you.
I mean, I'm not going to try to fight people who have deep faith in the Catholic/Christian faith or Judaism or Buddhism, but Scientology just came up, 50 years ago, and it just seems like it got a pass. And what is the benchmark for being able to say we're a nonprofit when we're clearly profiting, you know, and that this is the one of all of them that really gets me, that they slip under the, you know, and that I feel that, like, if the atheist community really wanted to make an impact, this is the one that you would take up, if that makes any kind of sense. You know?
No, I get you. I mean, like I said, there's been lots of people that have been trying to take these folks down, not just the atheist community, but like, I wish sometimes we did kind of make more concerted efforts. I think part of the problem is there's so many, not just Scientology, but there's just so many organizations that do this kind of thing. Like, it's hard to just pick on one. And it's not like that they don't have legal resources and stuff too. You know, like, thank goodness for organizations like the FFRF that will take on, you know, separation of church and state cases. But like, as long as folks like Scientologists aren't technically breaking laws, even if they are acting dubious, it's hard to make the case. Because like I said, if they're counted as a church, then they can do a lot. Yeah.
Their tax, you know, operations are definitely dubious. And so it's like,
yeah,
well, what are you doing?
Yeah. And they've been investigated.
Like, I'm not going to.
Yeah. Well, Lauren has something to say.
Most of us,
yeah.
you know,
yeah, Mark, I was going to say...
you were a former Christian, and you wouldn't take Christmas away from everyone, and I'm not trying to either. And I'm not trying to say that Buddha didn't speak of, you know, a greater peace with inner, you know, but it just seems like there's this one group of people calling themselves a religion that really should not benefit from it.
I agree. I totally agree, Mark. I want to hear what Lauren has to say.
I won't belabor the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hope that you saw.
Go ahead,
Mark.
Lauren.
I would just argue that Christianity is pretty much, like, I mean, it's definitely bigger and more powerful than Scientology, and that's why we focus on it more. And most of us who are atheist activists used to be Christian. Christianity has a lot more influence on a lot of people, but I would also say, you know, they have as little of a free pass as Scientology does. I think they're both guilty of a lot of fraud. They should all religions should be paying taxes, like all churches should be paying taxes. So I don't think that, you know, like, I think Scientology can be worse in an immediate sense in terms of, like, you know, they're being more publicly shamed and exposed, you know, like on A&E with Leah Remini's show. So I think it's more obvious to people on the surface that, hey, they're doing all this shady, awful stuff, but so is the Catholic Church, and so are Protestant churches, so are all the, you know, the different Christian denominations, but they are exposed a lot less because people aren't willing to come after them because, like you said, they're super old. A lot of people, most people in the world, especially in the States, are Christian. So a lot fewer people are willing to call them out. And so I think, for me personally, I'm always going to be more passionate about, you know, speaking out against the harmful practices and beliefs of Christianity than I am about Scientology. And part of that too is just because I was never directly involved in Scientology, so I don't really have an emotional attachment to it.
I agree with you 100%, Lauren. Like, while the actions of Scientologists are egregious and sometimes, like you said, more directly harmful to individuals, Christianity affects everyone on a systemic level, at least in this country. Like, it affects everyone. Scientology really doesn't affect my life as much as Christianity does, and I'm not a Christian anymore. Like, even if I wasn't talking about this stuff, everyone is affected by it in some way or another, because that is the majority religion in our country. That is what's seen the most favor. That's what most of our elected representatives prescribe themselves as. And so, and I think, that's the bigger kind of beast to deal with when it comes to the problems that Christianity and the systems it perpetuates, does for us. Like, I also agree too, because it's like we never grew up as Scientologists. We can't speak to it as much. I let ex-Muslim activists come on here, and I will let them give their expertise, because I can read about that stuff all day, but I will never have the lived experiences that they have either. So like I can't count as an expert to that, or an expert witness at least to that. So yeah, it's frustrating. Scientology makes me mad just as much as anybody else, but I agree. Like if I had to pick one to like really dedicate my time to, Christianity has to win, because that's going to make the bigger impact on the most amount of people. So Mark, I want to thank you again for calling in to talk about it, because we share, you're preaching to the choir, Mark. We hear you, man. Like it's frustrating. Laura knows about it, and she's talked a lot about it, but yeah, we have to pick our priorities. Unfortunately, we're only individual people. And I like the wagon I've hitched myself to right now, at least. We'll see if there's a more immediate threat than that, but I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Thank you,
yeah.
Mark.
Thank you, Mark.